years old, in Usu Ari here. My father was Minister of Agriculture.
Right.
When the soldiers came to the house, it was bloody. They were firing left, right, center. They picked him up at 5 p.m., took him to Cantonment's police station. They came back around 7 a.m. and lined us all up. They stripped my mother naked and were firing across the house and were shouting and insulting Nkrumah's name. That is when. With hindsight now, I believe that is when we lost it.
How did you feel then, knowing that this a boy, you know what impact your father has had, and with Osajifo and all the things that were going on, and then that level of shame that was just thrown at you, unprepared.
At that point, I was a young boy.
Right.
8 years old. I didn't know left from right, but I was confused. I was confused for a long time. My father was jailed for 5 years. I didn't go to school, myself and my two sisters. We didn't go to school for 2 years. We were wearing Bruni Wewu. Remember where I came from, you know, my upbringing.
Well, you're royal. So.
Not put the royal aside.
But it must be stated.
I can say, if for anything at all, I was a complete dadaba.
Right.
In that guise. So can you imagine something like that happening? And then from top right down to bottom. Food, you're eating gari. Your mother has 4 children to take care of. Your mother has never worked before. You're living in a family compound house when you've lived in your father's house all the time. But you know something?
No.
What the 1966 coup did for us, it opened our eyes.
To what?
To realize that, look, life isn't that easy. And you should learn from the past. It was only when my father came back, and my father was one of the last people to come out of prison in 1971. It was only when he came back and the Champon thing started, and they started opposing a Champon with union government, did I realize that we've got it wrong.
But it was too late.
It was too late. Because we had started the retrogression. All the things that Nkrumah did, the factories, the companies, all these things were beginning to go down. And I saw my father writing articles. Even the president used to come to the house. He was one of the youngest politicians of them all. They used to meet in our house in Kumasi, Asokwa. And they would come. And you could see that they were intense. They wanted Ghana to go back to where it was. But there were others who didn't want that.
I'm sure that you had, sessions with your father where he told you how the struggle for independence and what roles they played and how the mood of the country were at the time. Let us in on some of those things.
You see,
those things.
What
was it like?
When I decided to go into politics in 2006, my father never told me, Kwame, go into politics. But he called me and he said, look, if you cannot sacrifice, if you cannot speak the truth, if you let money come before the people and you cannot serve, then get out of politics.
He was emphatic?
Yes, emphatic. Get out of politics. And he said, we didn't do it the way you guys are doing it now, but you should learn from us. If you learn from us, you would find that country always comes before personal interest. And he always kept telling me, find something to do for yourself before you go into politics, because politics is for service. Politics isn't for money. You don't go into politics to make money. You go into politics to serve the people.
That's not a story these days, is it?
Is it?
It's not a story.
Politics has become a profession.
That's right.
Yeah, it's become a profession.
So somebody's out of university, first point is, I want to be a politician, I want to get appointment, I want to live the best of my life. I mean, even if this means it's my first job ever.
I was going to say, Johnny, the kids even on career day now, when I was younger, I didn't hear a lot of people say politician, but you ask the young children, what do you want to be when you say, I want to be a politician? I'm thinking, what do they think exactly that means? Yes. But for them, I think it connotes wealth, good standing in society, just lots of money. That's the picture in the mind. I want to be a politician, so I'm wealthy.
Why is it like that now?
But if you want to be a politician, Is it the country's money that you use to make yourself rich? And it's not wealth. There's a difference between wealth and riches. So you want to get rich.
Right.
You don't want to get wealthy. And if you want to get rich in politics, you're stealing the people's money. Because you're there to serve the people. You're not there to make money for yourself. But right now, who would point a finger at the politician who's being corrupt? Who? Who would listen? And if you don't have leadership that is strong, that can put their foot down and say, you are Minister of Finance, you are Minister of Agriculture, you are Minister of Roads and Highways. We realize that you have chopped money down. If you don't have a leader who can do that, who is going to stop?
Let's go back to the pre-independence era. What did you hear? What did you read? What do you know? What were you told? Share some with us.
In terms of before independence?
Yes, before independence, the struggle, 1947, 48.
My father tells me about, and I remember that he tells me more about when the UGCC and Nkrumah met in Salpond.
Right.
After Nkrumah had gone around the country and had seen that the people were not in consonance with what the UGCC was saying and did not understand what was going on. So with all his travels around the country, it's the youth who followed him. And the youth decided we need to set up a body, if I can call it a body, that we can help support this general secretary. They were called the CYOs. So after Nkrumah's travels around the country, and he came back, he had a meeting with the UGCC and said, look, guys, the people don't seem to understand what we're trying to do. And so youth around the country have formed this group. Let's make them a youth group for the UGCC.
Right.
They said no. They said no.
They wanted a CYO to become the official youth wing of the UGCC.
Exactly. He wanted, that is what he wanted. They said no. That is not our aim. And Nkrumah said to my father, Nkrumah said to them, but we are fighting for independence. They said, oh, we want independence, yes, but in the shortest possible time. But what Nkrumah had realized, going around the country, the people weren't ready for the shortest possible time. They were ready for it now. So he said, look, according to what my father tells me, we are not looking for independence the shortest possible time. We're looking for independence now.
Right.
So I would suggest consider it. They didn't consider it. It was the CYOs who pushed Nkrumah
to leave.
How
did he
And
leave?
my father said, when Nkrumah was telling the gathering in terms of the UGCC and the guys in Salpond, the financier of the UGCC, what was his name?
Pa Grant.
Kept pulling his jacket to stop. Kwame Jai. Nkrumah didn't even mind him. And it was the CYO who told him to leave.
Because he had seen a different picture out there from what was happening in the boardroom.
Yes.
And he wanted them to come to the reality.
Yes. And my father tells me that when he then went to Ashanti, he saw quite a lot of agitation in Ashanti with regards to their love for the UGCC and UP tradition, and realized that Ashanti would be a hotbed. So when he then got out of the UGCC, he decided he needs to go to Ashanti. Who could he use to tell the Ashantis that he's forming his own party and he is going to come into Ashanti with his party? And he formed the CPP, the Convention People's Party. And in forming the Convention People's Party, he had to start going around, but he wanted to start with Ashanti.
Right.
So he took royals from Menchia, if I can call them royals. If your father comes from Menchia on your father's side, he's a royal. He comes from Menchia, and Menchia is the palace.
Right.
So KSP Jantua, FA Jantua, Kwame Eje, these three people. And in writing his resignation letter, he wrote it on the back of my father. Because He said there was heat.
Your father's back.
Yes. He said there was heat and so on, right on my father's back. And then he wrote another letter on my father's back and told him, take it to Prempeh II and tell him I'm bringing my new party into Ashanti.
Wow.
So KSP, my uncle, FA, my father, and Kwame J went to Menchia and told Prempeh II that Kwame Nkrumah, who just left here, has left the UGCC and he wants to bring his party into Kumasi, Ashanti, and he sent us to introduce his party to you. My father says, Prempeh II told him, I have nothing against Kwame Nkrumah bringing his party here.
Right.
But he should realize his natural enemies are here. Because the Bafa Kutus were there.
Right.
They started this LLM thing. And that is where Akuse's father and all these people, they were already, within Nkrumah. And that is where the Molotov cocktails and all that kind of mayhem started in Ashanti. And it was bloody.
So from the very onset, it wasn't going to be easy.
It wasn't going to be easy.
But if it wasn't going to be easy and he saw the indication, why did he still follow through with the plan?
Who? Nkrumah?
Yes.
He realized we needed to get independence. And he wasn't ready. Remember, he didn't start his fight for independence in Ghana. He started his fight for the independence of Africa way back in the States. Then went into the UK, joined the freedom fighters in the UK, all the big names. So he had it in his mind. So when he was invited to join the UGCC, he realized this was a platform that he could push the agenda.
Right.
And he had people he could push the agenda with. Unfortunately, the kind of agenda he was looking at did not fall with the others. And he had to go on.
This independence story has always been told in a certain way. The ordinary Ghanaian has always been taken away from it. But if you look at the footages and the visuals from back in the day, you could clearly see that the ordinary Ghanaian was very much actively so involved. How were they drawn along in this fight for independence? And how come that now we don't seem to see them, as being part of the bigger story? It's just been, sidelined literally.
It's a leadership thing. That is what Nkrumah had the skill. He always drew the people with him at any given time. And even in Ashanti, 1956, they had 3 elections, didn't they? They did. Ashanti voted for Nkrumah because he could pull the people in. He would tell them what he was doing at any given time. And if you look at the speech he gave in 1957, 6th March, look at the reflection of that speech.
Yeah.
What did he say? The battle has ended. The battle wasn't his only battle. The battle was the people of Ghana's battle. And that is what we are missing today. It's as if the people's only duty is to vote a political party into power. Once that political party gets into power, the question of service gets lost. And the political party now in power sits on the necks of the people. And it's as if the people are either scared or timid. They go silent and wait for another 4 years. Why? Because the factors of production that would help them to also make their lives better are nowhere to be seen. We are not coming along with them, explaining things to them as we come along. If you have a maid in your house and your maid is serving you, would your maid not say, "Oh, Uncle Johnny, we don't have sugar. We don't have rice. The water tap here is spoiled." It's up to how you train that maid or that houseboy to respond to the needs of the household. And because the maid is always there and her responsibility is to clean the house, when things go wrong, they will tell you. Do our leaders do that today?
Well, let's cross over to Koforidua, where the independence celebration will happen. My guest in studio is lawyer Kwame Jantua, and Noble Crosby Annan is engaging some of the citizens who have turned up at that independence celebration. Listen.
Clearly, she's in high spirits. But let's also ask her about her expectations, the address by the president, also the parade ceremony by the security contingent, also about the schools and all of that. What do you expect to see? From the schools, from the security agencies, from the display of skills and all of that, what do you expect to see?
Well, nothing but the best, because we've been here several times for rehearsals and other stuff, so I expect nothing but the best from them.
You've been here for the rehearsals, and how was it for you?
It was a great experience, and then I know that the town people also enjoyed it.
All right, thank you so much. So that was also the views of another person also participating in the 67th Independence Day parade happening at Koforidua in the Eastern region. We'll be also showing you some security agencies. They are seated at various places in the audience.
We'll get back to Noble Crosby, and my guest in studio is lawyer Kwame Jantua. Counsel, the big question is the celebration of our Independence Day still relevant today?
It's relevant, but you see, on a day like this, our leaders should be able to show us where we came from, where we are, and where the mix is of the two.
They haven't done that.
Have they? Have they? What was the vision of our leaders? Nkrumah realized, if I'm going to be able to serve my people, I need to be able to provide employment for them. Remember, he's saying work and happiness.
That's right.
Now, if people are going to work and be happy, the work has to be there. So what did he start doing? He started putting factories in place. What didn't we have here? Yes, granted, the population was much smaller then, but when we now had the coups, could we not have tried to maintain some of these factories that were built? What baffles me is the minutest types of factories we had. We had a matches factory, didn't we?
That's right, we did.
We had a nail factory, didn't we? Because he realized that people will build houses. We had the best carpenters, the best artisans in this country. We had the best teachers. Anything we did was for the best of God. We built our own toilet shanks. We built our own sinks. We did everything ourselves. Air conditioners, fans, radios, name it. We did it. What went wrong? What went wrong? There was maximum employment that even we had to get people from other parts of West Africa to come and work here. What went wrong? Because you see, right now, nobody is looking at how the population is going to grow in the next 30 to 40 years. And when you look at that population growth, you now work back and see what you would require to make sure that that population growing would also get employment. Have we been able to do that?
But is that not why we have the National Development and Planning Commission?
Don't go there.
Why? Why can't I go there?
Why should we go there?
It's in the Constitution.
Why should we go there?
They have a duty.
Why should we go there?
Why should we not go there? You tell me.
Yes, because when we do these documents, nothing happens to them. I was part of the team that drafted the 40-year National Development Plan.
Under Professor Nimoy Thompson.
Under Professor Nimoy Thompson. Johnny, that document, go to NDPC today, they will tell you that's a fantastic document. Things were done. 40 years doesn't mean it's going to run for 40 years. It was in batches of 10 years, 10 years, 10. And why 10 years, 10 years, 10 years? So that if a government came in for 8 years, they would have the chance to look at it. If it needed changing, they would change a bit of it, but with Parliament's authority.
Right.
Where is that document today? That's why I said don't go there. Where is the document today? Have you read it?
I have read portions of it.
Portions of how many Ghanaians have read portions of it? And if you want the people to come along, do you not say, people, this document was done. It looks like a good document. Here, media, take it. Start discussing it in the country. Let the people discuss it. As we are sitting here discussing it, we will be discussing it. How many people know of that document? And it's only a national development plan that can put the economy back to where it is. But you see, the national development plan will expose those who are corrupt.
And that's why nobody wants it done properly implemented.
Come on.
No, I'm only asking.
How many people who have minds of corruption would want the right thing done? How many? How many?
So if we know we won't implement it, why then do we spend money, put professionals in a room, they sit down, they think, they put the document together, everybody says it is good, but then we won't implement the details in it. So why then did we waste money and all of our time to do that?
Because they feel their manifestos are much better than the development plan. And the aim of the development plan was that parties would take their manifestos out of that development plan. You see, the thing about a development plan, it takes sometimes quite some time to materialize.
That's right.
But once it materializes, you see that as governments change, the flow is also changing and things you want come into being. When Kwame Nkrumah built Akosombo,
Right.
you know Akosombo, the most Akosombo would have taken was 15 years. So what did he do? He brought an atomic reactor because he realized that industry would grow, and industry was the key to move this country. Have you gone to Kwabenya?
Yes.
The nuclear place there. Have you seen the equipment that was brought in?
Yes.
That is housed in that fortified building.
That's right.
Do you know that equipment still works? Today. I went there the other day, and the rector there took me round, switched on some of the equipment. That's old Russian equipment. It still works today.
But if it works,
and look at the mass land that was there, because he could see what it meant to go nuclear.
But there's encroachment now, a lot of encroachment. If that nuclear reactor works, as you say, and there's encroachment, they're not good for the health of the people.
And how did the encroachment come about? How did the encroachment come about? Is it not us? We have a lands department. Would we not section the place off? If everybody were doing their job and within the public sector there was no corruption, would we be able to encroach? Look at the motorway. We want to extend it now. We would not have to break people's houses down. Is it not encroachment? Don't we have institutions that are supposed to look after our lands?
They are. They are.
Well, Gent, on the back of that, then, what makes a national development plan corruption-proof? Because it's still these same people who have to look at the plan and implement them. And we see that across the board. We have fantastic laws, fantastic policy ideas, but it's the people that get in there and somehow these fantastic ideas fall by the wayside because everybody wants to chop. How does a national development plan stop this?
A national development plan is such that every Tom, Dick, Harry, Kweku should know what is in that plan. So if 5 hospitals are to be built in 5 regions, the people know it. If the politician doesn't build it, the people should be able to question the politician.
Are Ghanaians confident enough to ask the questions? And I'm asking because you lived in the pre-independence era and through the independence era all the way up until now. If you gauge
independence era, I was born in 57.
57,
yes.
Okay. Now, so if you look at the period then and how people could speak up and ask questions and demand for their share of the national cake, do you think the Ghanaians of today have that confidence and brevity to ask
We've
those
been
questions?
cowed.
By who and into what?
By our leaders and our political parties. We've been cowed. We're scared. Do you know the kind of victimization some of us get?
All right.
Have you said, when I die, taking nothing with me?
Till this day?
Yes. Oh, we get victimized. It's not everything we can say.
Yeah, of course.
We get victimized.
Of course. Helen.
But we can't be bothered because I'm not interested. Let me tell you something. I'm not interested in what political party comes into power. I'm interested in a political party that comes into power that can build a nation. Because if the nation is doing well, I'm doing well.
Right.
If the nation is doing well, I'm doing my business. I can afford 3 square meals a day. I can take my children to school. I can take my children to the hospital. So it is not the political party that is most interesting to me. It's the political party that comes in and does what they say they would do. It is when the political party comes in and does not do what they say they will do, that is when we've got to speak up. But I also think the media has a huge responsibility.
Which is?
To make sure that they put government in line. To make sure that they put government in line. Some of the journalists today are scared to open their mouths. And even if they are not scared, they do what? They align the political party in power. And the political party, they'll use money.
Right.
They use money to silence you.
Right.
And if you do not acquiesce to that, what happens? They kick you aside and put you aside and try to stop you.
Well, Council, so then the question is, and we would welcome Ambassador Sampi Ali. He's Ghana's former ambassador to India. He joins us in studio now. Ambassador, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine.
Great. Good to see you here as well. Council, so then the question comes. It looks as if now something little is done for us, and we are being encouraged to trumpet it to the highest heavens. Did Ghana have achievements during Nkrumah's days? Did we have achievements that we can proudly say we achieved A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H? So some of the things that we see these days are not new because we did way better back in the day. Are you able to lay claim to achievements of a Dr. Nkrumah?
I will take it that you are probably a 70s child.
No, I'm an 80s child.
80s child.
Yes, sir.
You were born in the 80s.
Right.
Do you see anything in this country that was done by our visionary president? Would you say you see anything? Let me, if you don't, let me show you a relic.
Right.
Go to Tema. Look at those huge towers.
Silos.
What were they? What was that for?
Food storage.
Exactly. It's only for nothing at all. We had that. If for nothing at all. If for nothing at all, we have VRA. When was it done? In those days. If for nothing at all, we have KNUST. If for nothing at all, we had an education system that graduated, that if you can't go to university, you can go to a technical school. And we had, as I said before, we had one of the best technicians in Africa. Everything was structured. Everything was thought through as to how it will help the people progress. Look, in our day, the elementary schools, the Sanford schools, were some of the best schools you could think of. One of the best schools you could think of. And if you look at the politicians of those days, they didn't go to primary schools we went to. They went to those schools. But look at the intellect they had.
Right.
Look at the kind of education they had. Let me read something to you. And this book is Philosophies and Opinions of Kwame Nkrumah.
Authored by Osagyefo himself.
Authored by Kofi Yeboah Tuafo.
Okay.
Let me read this to you. And this was said by Nkrumah in December 1960. He said, and I quote, "Political independence is meaningless unless it is underpinned by economic independence." Do we have economic independence today? When we look at our natural resources, tell me, let's even take gold that we've mined for years. How many Ghanaian gold companies do we have? The gold companies we have in this country, are they not foreign? Is that not capital flight? Because they dig the gold, they don't even refine here. They take it out there, refine it, sell it there, and bring us peanuts. Let me continue. He says, most of Africa is still in a developing stage, and this was then. It is in this context that we in Ghana have stood for African Union because we believe that unless we can act in unity in the political context, we are in danger of succumbing to new forms of colonialism and imperialism. This is a matter which is very near to my heart. Speech at a state dinner for Emperor Haile Selassie, Ambassador Hotel, Accra, December 1960. Where's Ambassador Hotel today? Movenpick.
Movenpick.
It's still there, isn't it?
That's right, it's still there.
The old
Novotel. Accra City Hotel.
That was Continental Hotel.
That's right.
That was, and Mike Egan also had a hotel just
Sunrise.
here. Yes, Sunrise, just here. So you can see relics of the old in many areas in Ghana. But what have we done to them? Absolutely nothing. Today, it's up to Tumfo to put a fund together to get to Konfanochi working. Does that make sense?
Of course, it doesn't make sense. And you can always join us on our Facebook page. We're live, Lawyer Kwame Jantwa and also Lawyer Ambassador Sampi Ali. We're live on Facebook at 3FM927, also on X, 3FM927, and on Instagram. You can join us with your thoughts and comments. Feel free to put your questions across, and I'm sure the gentleman will answer the question. The English dictionary describes independent as free from outside control, not subject to another's authority. That's the first meaning. The similar meaning, words that were put in there: free thinking, individualistic, unconventional, maverick, free, liberated. The second major meaning is not depending on another for livelihood or subsistence. And similar meanings or words that were put out there: self-sufficient, self-supporting, self-sustaining, self-reliant, self-standing. Ambassador, are we independent?
Well, thank you very much, and good morning. I had an invitation very, very late, but I said that I was determined to be here.
We're grateful
to meet my compatriots, Jantwa, to tell the world, tell Ghanaians what we have lost as a country. And at 67, we have passed pensions.
That's right, 7 years
7 years past pensions.
Right.
Where are we drifting? I wish that Nkrumah's books will be made textbooks in secondary schools for people to read and understand where we're coming from, where we are, and what we need to do.
Please, are you dreaming?
I'm not dreaming, because we are reversing on a slide, ice slide, reversing downstream. 67 years. And my comrade was telling you some things about the relics. I am telling you that, but for Nkrumah, Ghana will not be what it is even today. A country that has been colonized for about 100 years, systems entrenched, right? And then you come and all of a sudden you fight for independence. When fighting for independence, Nkrumah was thinking that he had people who were with him, but they were against him. But he had a dream, he had a vision that me, a boy from the Western region, I must liberate my people. I must liberate Africa so that in 2024, we will not go begging. All right? In 2024, no country will be dictating to us whether to accept LGBT or not. That was the independence Kwame Nkrumah was talking about.
Right.
He fought for political independence because that was a key. If you don't open the door to the room, you don't see what is in there. So at that time, the fight was how to open the political door. But Nkrumah was conscious that if he became independent politically, but did not become independent with the other African countries, our independence will be meaningless.
Right.
You know what he was thinking about?
No.
An African market of about 2.something billion people where we could trade among ourselves. All right? So if Ghana was independent, Nigeria was not independent, how could we trade among ourselves? So that was the dream. So he had both the political dream and the economic viewpoint that if we came together, we'll be where we have to be. ECOWAS came 75 today. What has happened? What has happened? Nkrumah was not like the modern day politicians. He did things with plans. My brother would have told you that we started with a 7-year development plan.
That's right.
We had plan for agriculture. That
We
look,
started with the
5-year development plan,
then we
which
came
was
to
then
7
7-year
years.
development plan. And 1970 was the 10-year development plan.
You know, so it's strategic development. I want to do agric, I want to do education, and this is the way I want it. I want science and technology, technical scientists. So I'm building Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. I'm building Cape Coast University.
It was the UST, University of Science and Technology.
Yes. And now it's turned into other things.
Yeah, I'm building University of Cape Coast to train teachers.
Right.
Legon will do the humanities and whatever it is. Structured. Look at our roads. Okay? He's the only African country that had a motorway way in the 50s. Way in the 50s. If this is not visionary, I don't understand where you're dictionary about what is visionary. Look, by 57, Ghana had developed atomic energy potential. So if you go to Legon, you know Legon, all the way from this Hachu, all the way there
to Kwabenya,
the atomic village, where Ghana was doing the nuclear sciences. Before the Hiroshima bomb, Ghana had that atomic energy
reactor.
We had it. If you are going to talk about Kwame Nkrumah, you will weep. Go to my western region. My western region. Look at the factories that Kwame Nkrumah strategically placed there. Go to Ashanti region. Look at the strategic plans Kwame Nkrumah placed there. Go to the northern region, Poalugu. So Kwame Nkrumah had an overspread for development in this country.
Azil Lawyer has handed you a list of the factories. Aaron, I remember, I know this list because I've seen it on TV3 New Day before when I was there. You know, quickly, let's run through some of the factories if we can.
But you know something, before he comes, you know something. When this president indicated that he was doing one district, one factory.
Right. Right.
We said it was a fantastic idea. However, some of us said, let's look at those areas where there's huge capital flight. We take money out to buy things back in.
Right.
Let's look at the gold industry. It will bring money in.
Right.
Let's look at sugar. Let's look at rice. Let's look at all those industries.
Chicken.
And start that here now. For the next 4 years, let's just concentrate on that to cut the capital flight going out. Did they do it? No.
Council, let's look at the factories.
Put down, shut Akosombo down. 10 minutes. Shut it down 10 minutes, and what will happen in this country?
And also look at the back of it.
So some of the little known facts and achievements of the CPP government under the leadership of Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. In Accra, we had a Tema motorway, we had a Tema rail line, Adomi Bridge, Akosobo Dam, Commander Sugar Factory, Isuchari Sugar Factory, Ghana Air Force, Ghana Airways, Ghana Film Units, Ghana Navy, Ghana Nautical College, Ghana TV Network, Tema Boat Yard, Tema Dry Dock, Tema Fishing Harbour, Tema Main Harbour, Tema Oil Refinery, the Tema Food Complex, the Tema Steel Works, Tema Sanyo, Tema Cold Stores, Tema Paints Factory, Tema Batteries Factory, National Lotteries, Kumasi Shoe Factory, Kumasi Jute Factory, Kede Match Factory, Salt Pond Ceramic, Bricks and Tiles Factory, Aboso Glass Factory, Takwa Gold Refinery, Insawam Cannery, Accra International Airport, Accra Sports Stadium, Akoko Photo, Poultry, Pomaze Poultry, Sohum Garment Factory, Sports Council, Free Education, Pupil Teachers Training Scheme, Achansi Kotoku Rail Line, Metal Sheet Factory, Teshi Military Academy, Research Centers. We had the soil, mineral, animal, crops, cocoa, food, oil palm, building, road. Also, we had the oil mall, Inzima, Asesoa, Tebubu, Odan, Akuse, Tamale, Shama. Hotels that were available, Akosombo City, Ambassador Atlantic, Meridian, Star, and Continental, and many other catering rest houses. Also, the Ghana Textiles Manufacturing Company, Ghana Commercial Bank, the National Investment Bank, Agricultural Development Bank, Social Security and National Insurance Trust, Ghana National Trading Corporation, Akosobo Hydroelectricity, Bui Dam Commission, Kwabenya Atomic Energy, which we just spoke about, Bampon, Equiapim Herbal Lab, Ghana, Guinea, Mali Sub-Regional Council, All Africa Trade Union Federation, Bogatanga Meat Factory, Polugu Tomato Factory, Black Star Lines, 19 cargo ships, Ghana Fishing Corporation, 21 trawlers, Silos for Food Preservation, Ghana Amateur Football Association, Ghana Amateur Boxing Association, Ghana Amateur Athletic Association, Ghana Central Organization of Sports, Cement Factory, State Distillery, State Pharmaceutical Company, State Housing Corporation, State Insurance Company, State Publishing Corporation, State Construction Corporation, State Leather Factory, Ideological Institute, now University of Education, Takrady Boat Yard, Takrady Paper Conversion Company, Takrady Cocoa Processing Corporation, Tema Cocoa Processing Corporation, Ghana Cocoa Marketing Board, Ghana Blue Train, that's the Express Confederation of African Football, Organization of Africa Unity, now OAU, now AU, Tema Akasanuma, and the universities you had Legon upgraded, UCCK and UST, Encyclopedia Africana School upgraded, Technology School to Polytechnics, and University of Mines, Academy of Science, Law School, Medical School, Institute of African Studies, Bureau of Languages, and the Ghana National Corporation, Construction Corporation.
Look at the back.
I don't know which one of these. Okay, so there were also estates, right? I see. Aswanse, I mean, these are in thousands, so I may not be able to mention it, but Aswanse, Suntreso, Kwadaso, Oboase, Takwa, Bibieni, Adiemra, Nkrofo, Efi Kuma, Pedu, Koforidua, Chimoda, Siudo, Saltpond, Cape Coast, Ho, Keta, Kanda, KGB, Jasikan, Kitan, Osu New Site, Ringway, Tamale, Bogatanga, Fantia Boso, South Labadi, Labadi International Base, Koligono, Kaneshi 1 and 2, Aboso Kang, West Tanochrome, Chapel Hill, in the western region, East Christianborg, West Koligono, North Laboni, Latebio Koshi, and Latebio Koshi again. Wow, interesting. These factories, where are they? The factories, council, where are they?
Johnny.
Yes, sir.
From the list, I think apart from Wakes, Kwame Nkrumah had a factory for everything the human being needs in this country. And unfortunately, some of them fell out because of the technologies we had employed.
Right.
We in the factories, most of them have used Eastern technology, and so when the USSR fell, countries like Romania, who had a lot of engineers manning our industries, were here. Russians, they were here without spare parts for their factories.
Right.
And then Ghana did not also provide for them. In any case, they were being haunted. After the coup d'etat,
right,
they will be hounded and haunted. So nobody even had an eye to look for the spare parts or to modernize those factories.
Right.
So naturally, they fell out. But there are some which could have been saved and rehabilitated easily. Look at Tema. Kwame Nkrumah decided that I am going to create an industrial city from the rocks to an industrial city.
Right.
And we did go on and on until we could produce television. Television Sanyo in Ghana.
And the radio set.
And
as
the radio
well.
set.
Akasanoma. In fact, I should have brought mine. I have one.
You know,
the brown wooden one.
And when he was talking and got to the brute train, I almost, cried. Because it was a joy to stand at Kojo Chrome to see the brute train running across to Kumasi.
We used to come to Accra in a train.
Yes. And in those days, students were given concession tickets.
Right.
To be on the ticket, the train half
the price.
Half the price. So what you do is that if you don't have the ticket, you can collect John Western ticket and my ticket. So say I have two, and then the real people, they will laugh, but they will let you go.
Right.
Those were the days. OSA was OSA. Look at state transport. State transport. The first African country to have a state system of transportation. If you're going to talk about Kwame Nkrumah, it will be all day. But council.
But I noticed that we had 2 sugar factories.
Commander
in Suchari.
Yes.
How come that we don't have a factory producing either a grain or a cube of sugar, which is consumed on a daily basis?
Yes, but recently we have even attempted to rebuild the Commander Sugar Factory with an Indian loan. what has happened to it? We are not ready to develop this country, apart from politics. You know, but I'm happy, Comedian, that this year, have you noticed one thing very significant? We are talking about Nkrumah. We are not talking about any, I don't know what language to use, any big sex. You see, I'm happy about that this year, Ghanaians are becoming wiser by talking about the focal person of the independence struggle. Because if you are going to talk about the independence struggle, there were people who were far active than the so-called big sex. You are talking about Nico Joe Bonny, your great-grandfather, your great-grandfather, who organized the boycott. You know, in your national anthem, said the blood and toil of our forefathers.
That's right.
The big six, whose father was shot, whose father shed blood. It is Sergeant Tipo and the rest of them. Whose blood we are talking about? The gun blood and the ever blood.
Sergeant Ajete, Corporal Tipo.
Yeah, these are the blood
Private
that were shed. Not the so-called big six. And I'm telling you, until we remove the pictures of those 6 people on our national currency, I don't know when it will be stable.
I think that this has been extreme now.
I know.
It has been, the currency has been stable before.
I am telling you something. You just listen to me. I'm emotional about it.
You say the 6 heads should
Let me tell you what. When we were gaining independence, Komna Agbele
right.
was sent to London to go and see how we are going to have our own currency from the pound.
Right.
And these people...
Which people are you referring to?
The anti-Ghana people.
The anti-Ghana
people.
Which in Ghana?
Who?
These so-called people.
You mean the UP tradition?
UP tradition. You know what they did?
But you can't say they were
Wait a minute.
But they're not the ones who brought Dr. Nkrumah in to come and fight for independence.
Because they couldn't handle it.
They couldn't handle it. TV3 saw the potential and knew that they brought you Johnny Hughes here. Isn't it? Isn't it? So the person who brought you here and the work we have done, which is more important? The person who brought you here and the work we have done for TV2, which is more important? You know what they did?
No.
They started speculating, say, the new currency, whose head was going to be on it.
Oh, really?
Yes. And in those days,
Pettiness.
they started singing the song, See the Kwasiabiti Daso.
Oh.
Yes. Google. So it became a debate in Parliament. The currency that has not been approved, though. So Kwame Nkrumah's head was on the pound, the first pound that was issued. As soon as the coup d'etat came, they cleaned everything. Today, Kwame Nkrumah said, where do you find it? 2 CDs. 2 CDs. Do you use 2 CDs? I am saying nobody can erase our history or adulterate it. The history is there. Whether they bend his books or not, Kwame Nkrumah is the founder of Ghana.
Councillor, let me come to you and ask about the political terrain, because it also plays a role. I mean, you read from the book, spoke about political freedom and economic freedom. But we find ourselves in some uncomfortable political situations, in between, because we had independence. Nkrumah was the leader of the new nation, and then he was deposed, overthrown. Then in comes Buzia in between then, and when Liman comes, the military leadership plenty, and then Akufo-Addo's father acted briefly, and then now Rawlings also before him was, and then now we have the Fourth Republic, which is the longest running. The political terrain, if we are doing a proper analysis from 1957 to date, what would you say it has been?
Turbulent. It's been very turbulent. And unfortunately, the years of the coup, we haven't learned from it, and we have pushed it into our democratic space from 92. And what is that? My party comes before country. Party is much more important. So I need to look for work for my party people and not country. Look, you see, every leader should think way ahead and work backwards. And I'll give you 3 examples. First example is GBC.
Okay.
When Kwame Nkrumah founded GBC, look at the land around GBC. He was looking at the British BBC system for Africa. And GBC at the time was the only station in Africa that had shortwave.
That's correct.
And you could connect it anywhere.
Anyway.
And he was interested in building a similar voice. And that's what he saw. He saw the media as important, and the country needed a voice, and Africa needed a voice. 2, the Palugu tomato factory and the corn beef factory in the north. And Nkrumah realized people from Burkina Faso, people from those landlocked countries, always brought their cattle into Ghana to feed. When the cattle came in, what did he do? He bought nearly 90% of the cattle. And what did he do? He said, we need a corn beef factory because we were importing corn beef from Argentina. We can do it ourselves. So built it near the source.
Where the cattle are.
Where the cattle
so
are.
that we can harvest the meat and then use them.
One of the most interesting bits was that when you killed the cattle, you've got to also save the hide, the skin.
Right.
Where did that skin go? It came to Kumasi
for the shoe factory.
Shoe factory.
The Achimota sandals.
Achimota sandals.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And even most interesting, the horns of the cows was what they melted into glue for the Achimota sandals.
Wow.
And Achimota sandals was to rival
Bata. And every child who went to school wore Achimota sandals. Let me give you 3.
So no part of the cow was thrown away.
No.
The hoofs and the horns were used for glue. Let me give you number 3. And Nkrumah realized we are growing and we want to industrialize. A time will come when we would have a public system, but Ghanaians would want to drive cars. So we don't need to import tires. So what did he do? He started the rubber factory. We started growing rubber. Bonsa. And that rubber was meant for tires.
Car
tires. So we had the Bonsa tire factory in the western region. Apart from that...
No, they don't produce the Firestone even for America.
Yes, they even produce Firestone.
So the Americans used to buy
from Ghana.
From Ghana.
And distribute to the West African countries.
Right now, the rubber factories we have, who have bought it? Isn't the Firestone?
Yes.
The Firestone.
Those who used to buy from us have now bought they bought the factory.
And they realize the use in it. Are we not importing old car tires? And some of those tires are even winter tires that don't work here under our car. Don't we have that here? Then Nkrumah also looked. He says, we want to build houses and we want to use glass. What did he bring in? The glass factory. Because he realized we had glass sand and we had silica. And we started building our own. Do you know that the gas factory at Tetuabo,
right?
Do you know it is built on a silica deposit?
Yes.
Do you know it is built on a silica deposit? So tell me, who went to do the seismics there to say that, look, it should be put there, not knowing that there is silica, there's raw material in there that could be used for this country. So it's the thinking ahead. And that is what we've lost today. Because we think of today, not think ahead for the young ones coming. Not think ahead to say that I might not be here, but I put things in place that the young ones too would also enjoy. That is where we have stopped thinking.
I see, Ambassador, it comes to the quality of people around the leader and the government. If you look at the people around Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he was not interested in which tribe you came from. He was not interested in whose son you were. He was interested in the quality that you brought to the table. Do we still see that these days?
My daughter was looking at me. Do you see the Jobson Center?
Yes.
Have you seen any building as beautiful as strong and as strong as that one?
The original, you mean?
The original Jobson Center. It was built by the SCC, Ghanaians.
State Construction Company.
I was going to say some of this sounds like a movie. I'm listening with rapt attention,
it's
and I'm thinking, is this? Are we talking about the same Ghana today? And quickly, I also want to. Professor Frimpong Boateng, renowned surgeon, former Minister of Environment, made a statement last year. He said the young people in Ghana have a future they can no longer afford to postpone. it stuck with me since he said that, and today I feel very emotional thinking about the future because it doesn't feel certain.
Ambassador, step in for me. So I'd asked the question about the quality that we allow into leadership positions to take decisions for the future and for today.
See,
what do you see?
Do you know the number of ministers Kwame Nkrumah used?
About 19? Was it 10? 19, 10?
12 or so.
Yes.
It was less than 20.
It was less than 20.
Right. It was less than 20. I remember.
And it was these ministers not, carefully selected. Even if they were CPP members, but he didn't select anybody. He selected people who he knew can deliver. So tell Kojobojo, I want educational trust.
Bedema for finance.
Finance. You see, Accra Girls, Tadisco,
right,
Asankregwa, all those trust schools, you see them, Laboni, they were constructed with the same pattern by Nkrumah. So he had visionary members of government also. But Osajivo will not allow you to rest. He had a film industry, thinking that Ghana, apart from having the voice, we should also put our story in our own forms out there.
Like the way Hollywood does for America.
And Kwame Nkrumah, even though he was leading the CPP, he felt and behaved that he was leading a country, not a political party.
Let me turn it for you. You'll see it better.
Okay. John, are you listening to me? He was leading a government, not a political party. Today, we are thinking about just our political parties. Today, if you open the radio and ask people to sing the national anthem, they cannot sing it.
Oh.
Many people cannot sing it.
This is the last cabinet of Nkrumah.
Please share the photo with me so I can let them put it on our Facebook.
As young pioneers, as little as we were, we were given the spirit of patriotism. Some of us, when Ghana national anthem is being played, we start, today, before even footballers don't think about Ghana anymore. Ask for Kofi, those days, wearing the Ghana jersey was enough to score goals.
I sent it.
Where is that national pride now?
But don't forget the code, the Young Pioneer Code.
Yes.
When you read it, I'm trying to look for. I have it here.
The Young
somewhere.
Pioneer Code.
The Young Pioneer
Every
Code.
morning you have to recite
it. Full of patriotism.
It brings you to the fact that Ghana is like the Americans saying, "This is Uncle Sam." You understand? This is my country. I will die for it. I will die for my country. That was the spirit then. Today, young people, they don't even see their future so as to even think about their today. Johnny,
yes, sir.
You know Takoradi very well.
I do.
You had RT Briscoe or something.
That's right.
You left university, and then by the time UAC had appointed you, they'll take you to RT Briscoe and your Benz is ready for you. Your Benz is ready because you have left university. Tech, UST.
Yes.
Johnny, you were served as if you were sleeping in a hotel. Tech. And we have allowed ourselves to be taken over by the colonial mentality again. Which Kwame Nkrumah warned us that, look, you have gained political independence, but be careful of those who are colonial, people still linking about. Unfortunately, we had too many of them.
So the Young Pioneer Code, and this is an article written by Professor Ajima Bedwa Kosa, 2017, June 19, 2017, published by the Daily Graphic, and he talks about the code. Maybe I read from one of the paragraphs. It says, it was introduced to my primary school in 1964, and there were many of us who joined. It was not compulsory then, and many others were in the other youth club mentioned above. Our uniforms and shoes were the selling point, and many throughout the country joined because of those items. We were taught how to march, and we wore showpieces at the Independence and Republic Days, and of course the birthday of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. But that was not all. We were taught the 12-point code of discipline, which has lived with me for over 50 years and has served me very well. 1, love for country. 2, discipline and obedience. 3, honesty and morality. 4, punctuality. 5, protection of state property. 6, reliability and secrecy. 7, comradeship and forbearance. 8, love of work. 9, field craft. 10, unaffectedness. 11, selflessness. 12, striving to faultlessness. And this was the code that he spoke about. And these are very important lessons.
So show me, apply this to today, and tell me which of these things here
is being practiced.
Has been practiced today. Tell me.
Love of country, discipline, obedience, honesty and morality, punctuality,
you're going too fast.
protection of state property, reliability and secrecy, comradeship and forbearance, love of work, field craft, unaffectedness, selflessness, striving to faultlessness. These are the 12 things.
Is there love of country today?
I don't know.
No, let's be honest. Isn't it selfishness and greed? Is there discipline and obedience? Do we understand the laws that we have? Are we able to enforce the laws? Honesty and morality. And we are talking about what? LGBTQI. And we tell ourselves that it has nothing to do with morality. And we have leaders who want this thing to be passed because of what? When it's affecting, in fact, LGBTQI, in terms of the bisexual side of it, is affecting marriages in this country today.
Right.
It's breaking homes. We are not looking at it. It's okay because some people want it to happen.
Johnny,
certain things you do not understand.
We have
love for work.
Mayor Musajiman says, Charlie, there will never be another Nkrumah. Never. It's so sad.
No.
And Sherry saying sentiments like Helen. And for those of us who are young, I mean, you listen to some of the things that were done back then, and you ask yourself, so for example, the groups that Professor Akosa was talking about, is talking about the Gold Coast Wolf Clubs,
yes,
and then the Scouts. I was a Scout,
yes.
And then Brownies and Girl Guides for girls, and all those were lent to serve society and community and how to be prepared at all times to be called into action for the country. The lessons learned from Israel, West Germany, and Russia were the basis for the Young Pioneer movement. And I dare say that
it was also, Nkrumah also looked at the brownie thing that was done in America.
Right.
The brownies. And felt we also need something like that.
It was one of the groups. It's one of the groups, actually.
Yes.
So the groups are Gold Coast Wolf Clubs, the Boy Scouts for boys, Brownies, and then Girls Guide for girls, and then the Young Pioneer movement. So these were the groups that existed.
Your new constitution, 1992 constitution,
right,
has a clause that we cannot have a movement that would give ideology, political ideology to people.
Right.
These concepts that we are speaking about, are they ideologies for destruction?
You see, and that is the danger we have today. There's no ideology to move what it is we want to move. Everything has become money.
Politics, money.
Without ideology, you don't have the brain to change things. It's the ideology that brings in some of the things that you want to do. And if there's no ideology, how do you move forward?
I remember as a Boy Scout, the Scout laws. A Scout is faithful and can be trusted. A Scout is useful and helpful. A Scout is friendly and considerate. A Scout is brother to all Scouts. A Scout is kind to all animals and has reverence for all living things.
Yes.
A Scout is obedient. I remember
and
them.
that is the ideology of...
And those things, I think those things guide me.
They stuck with you and then also guide your conduct.
So why can't we teach these things in school?
Well, listen.
What kind of curricula do you have?
Listen. Today you have in your textbooks for schools, even history, which is distorted. History of your country distorted. How would they allow these thoughts to be given to the little young ones? You see, gentlemen, my problem is this. After our generation, I think we are the last remnants of the ideological era.
Yes.
After us, I don't know who will tell the story to change the dynamics of this country.
So write a book.
No, but Osaji was written so many books.
So many books.
See, you know what?
The books were banned. Some of the books were banned when Osaji was deposed.
Country university, the premier university, the library books, they will gather all the books about the coming from and burn it right in front of students. Do you get the picture? That this must be bent from history.
Do you know the university that Nkrumah went to in America, Pennsylvania? They study Nkrumah.
Yes.
That's right. That's correct.
They study Nkrumah.
That's correct.
Now you are not even studying the whole history.
Even if you were against what the man was doing, there are certain things that could help the country today. So study J.B. Dankwa, study Nkrumah, study all the old ones, so that at least the young ones coming have something to look up to. Our children of today, do they know what all these people did? Agri, do they know what Agri did? All these old people who helped build this country, do they know what they did? It's not taught in our schools.
Culture, tradition, religion, they also play a part in development. Nkrumah has been criticized that he had kankanyami. Somebody says it's enkane. You know,
I'm tempted to say
no. Please allow me. I mean, these are narratives that are out there, whether you like it or not.
But Johnny,
they are narratives.
as a journalist, I know your knowledge that before Homota, the cartoonist who did it.
Right.
His father was Ganata.
Yes.
Ganata designed and did that cartoon. You know, and Homota, when he was dying, the last days of he said he had a confession to make.
Right.
And that those artworks were just created. They were commissioned to create them. But Kwame Nkrumah didn't have any kankayami, Homota. But they were used to create a picture for Kwame Nkrumah. Just as today, we are still using fear to get people to vote or do things for us.
So that was where I was coming to. Religion, culture, tradition.
Yes.
How have we used it to our benefit in terms of our national development and pride?
Well,
have we allowed them to beat us down, to cower us into certain form of submission, that commonsensical approach to thinking and having a world view of what development should be is no longer the case? Because I get a sense that when you mention spirituality in a conversation and religion, common sense flies out. The rest is confusion.
I don't know.
Is that what you think, Sue?
I don't know what you mean by religion. But have you listened to the pastors on our televisions and radio sets of late? What did they preach about? Prosperity.
Right.
Not spirituality. But in Nkrumah's time, the churches were there. The Methodist Church was building the managing it. The Roman Catholics have built, Presbyterian had built schools.
St. Augustine's, Anglicans had built at this school. St. Monica.
You know, the churches were extremely useful. They were not in this political fight with politicians. Today, people are in Kasok, but they are more political than anything else. Look at chiefs like the Nekoberan Katia of Sekendi.
Yes.
Otufu Ajiman Prempe of Kumasi. The northern chiefs. They took part in the national development. They didn't divide us. Johnny, they did not divide us. Today, people are pride in where they come from. Meye Fantini or Meye Santini, than Meye Ganani, which is hurting.
And you see, Nkrumah saw it. And so when you go to secondary school, you find people coming from all parts of the
He mixed
country.
everybody together.
Mixed everybody. My good friend in Adisado was called Okru. He came from one village.
Right.
And you know one thing I liked about Okru?
From the...
he came from that area.
Yes, Okru,
you know one thing I liked about Okru?
No.
Okru would sit me down and tell me how they sat under a tree to tell Anansi stories. I didn't have that advantage.
Right. Because you were from Edada Baho.
Exactly.
But he from Kankpe Dadabi.
Exactly. And he would tell me things that I did not know. Became my best friend. And we grew with it, and so we were able to mix easily. Today, it seems to be draining away.
But for the Kwame Nkrumah boarding system,
yes,
it united us as a country. Because in your boarding school, I mean, those days, Ga language, way back in Kumasi was the best language everybody wanted to speak. You know, the Ga boys, they were tough guys.
Right.
You know, but that brought us together as Ghanaians. If that thing leaves us and we go individuals, the way we are going now, more happy about our tribes.
Apart from that, Kwame Nkrumah realized that we had a lot of cocoa farmers. So the cocoa scholarships was meant for cocoa farmers' children.
But that's not the case today. I remember in secondary school, I had one of those scholarships, and my father asked me, said, "Are you poor?" I said, "No." Said, "Am I a cocoa farmer?" I said, "No." Said, "So what do you need a scholarship for?" Said, "I don't know. The school gave it to me." So he drove me to the school and said, "Take your scholarship back. Find another person. Because we can afford to pay."
That was the reason why they had the cocoa scholarships.
But I got a cocoa scholarship. But my father rejected it because he said, number one, you are not a cocoa.
Your father was a patriot.
So he said, we are not poor. You are not a cocoa farmer's son. I think a cocoa farmer needs it.
Johnny, will that happen today?
I don't know.
Will somebody's father say, my son has cocoa scholarship, so I have the money, so put the scholarship aside? We won't. Personal interest is killing us. Personal interest is killing us. When you are following a car in traffic, the car wants to turn left. You have an indicator on your car, and that's why the indicator was made. He doesn't indicate, he just turns. That should tell you the psyche.
Will it ever get better, the future? Let's look at the future and wrap up this conversation.
Well, today,
will it ever get better?
Today, the public education system is with the media. All right?
Right.
The schools are doing their best, but Nkrumah's use of the media was for national development.
Right.
So if you take GBC's charter, you take Ghana Film Industries, their charter, it has a focus of what the media should be used for. What is the media doing now? Open your radio station or TV station between the hours of 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. It's all political discussions. Political discussions. Of course, if you start sanitation, nobody will listen to your station. You know, so
my listeners listen to me when I start sanitation conversation.
Johnny, the sanitation is different. Your sanitation will not go and say that Yambo Abaya Basu Abaya there. No. So we want to know that. So the media would have to change in a certain way. You know, to look at the GBC charter again and look at that. You know, evening news. Kofi Bedu's evening news. You read it and you have know that you are reading about Ghana.
Right.
And what you must do for Ghana. I think we should go back to the long-term planning system. Long-term planning system. This 4-year term of government is not helping us.
How do we whip up patriotism and volunteerism in people? Because if you look at the code, the Young Pioneers Code, you see a lot of patriotism, the quest for leadership and volunteerism.
The young people of this country.
You didn't show the Nkrumah picture.
We'll show it. Janet, find me the last cabinet that Dr. Nkrumah had. I sent it to you.
The young people of this country are smarter and sharper than our days. They are smarter and sharper in terms of what they can. Now, it takes a deliberate attempt to direct their effort into thinking that way. All right? Because they know that they are perishing. The youth are perishing without direction. So if they find this ideological training, discipline, and others as useful, the youth will pick it up. But you will not find an adult sitting on TV saying things that he knows are not true. Saying things that are not true. So the youth will not believe us. For patriotism, the youth should believe that if I sacrifice for my country, there will be reward for me. There will be recognition for me. You know, I wouldn't have to leave school, come and stay at home. My junior brother will leave school, come and join me. My third sister will come and join me. What is the hope? And you are talking to me about patriotism. No, patriotism will go chop. No. So the state, you see, the problem I have is the ideology that the state does not do business. Who told them America does not do business? China, when you go to China state railways, they give you loan. The state in a developing country must take the center stage of national development.
But companies were handed factories. I mean, I speak about Gehawk with a lot of pain because I saw Gehawk then. I saw how Gehawk was giving capital injection new machines and everything else. And I've also seen Gehawk shut down the factory because they couldn't pay ethanol suppliers.
Who's the leader?
I saw Georg taken to the court by SNIT for failing to pay contributions. I saw Georg being written to by Metropolitan Insurance for failing to pay tier 2 deductions that have been made for workers. I have seen Georg in the last week had it account gonna shade because a private supplier of ethanol has taken Georg to court. So salaries of those who work at Georg have not been paid. I've seen Georg now asking its suppliers and distributors and marketers to pay the monies, the proceeds from their sales into a private Momo account so they could get money. I've seen all of that happen, but the leadership at Georg has not changed. And then you ask yourself, are we really interested in building a nation? Because if Georg collapses, the job losses of over 500 people who work there now, I mean, would come back. The ripple effect, I'm not sure we can quantify it. So why don't we move speedily to stop the problem before it becomes too big? Mr. Jantua, why?
Johnny, you can have a beautiful city. You can have X amount of money invested in development. If you are not able to change the mindset, that is where the problem is. The Ghanaian mindset has to change.
How are we going to change that?
By education.
You don't have textbooks in your schools.
Education is not only textbooks. It's not only textbooks. We need to start from the classroom.
Yes, but you don't have the textbooks.
You don't need textbooks. In our days, we had textbooks, but they taught us efficiency and wisdom.
Which teacher is going to do that these days?
Well, that is why we should train teachers to be able to do that. And if you pretend to pay teachers a salary that is not able to meet their daily survival, why would they do that?
The children don't have enough time in the schools.
Johnny,
so that if you are going to do that, I remember when I was in primary school, my teachers, we had a timetable, and there was even a period where we had like a 1 or 2 period free, and the teacher, your class teacher, Mr. Yeboah or Mr. Mamu, whoever, would come and tell you a story and tell you the moral behind the story. The children don't have that benefit these days, because the thing is packed back to back. Cultural studies is gone. Social studies is gone.
Little girl.
That is
4-year-old girl has to wake up at 5 o'clock, go and stay at school till 9 p.m.
That is why the politics has to change. We've gotten to a stage, Johnny, where the partisanship of our politics has eaten into the fabric of our society. We've got to look at things that are national issues and discuss it as a whole, those national issues. Education is one of them. Agriculture is another one of them. Exports is another one of them.
Right.
Employment is another one of them. A leader in this country, a leader should say, look, you are with a different political party. You are this, you are that. However, let's sit around the table and see how best we can put things together, because my party is not going to be in power forever.
Right.
Your party will come. If we all decide that this is the way we are going, when parties change, do we not follow what we've agreed?
We do.
And when the people get to understand this is what we've agreed, if a party comes in and they are doing things ultra-virus, will they not put them right?
They would.
Yes, we need a long-term planning.
Gentlemen, I thank you very much indeed for your time, and thanks for spending your holiday morning with us. We appreciate you, Helen.
I am very excited.
This is a masterclass for us.
Masterclass. I'm going to go back and watch this, and of course it was streaming. And this is what we should all go back and watch. It'll be on our YouTube page as well. So for everybody that's interested to go back in time to see where we're going, head over to our socials and to YouTube and watch it back.
Every morning, say Nkrumah never dies.
Nkrumah never dies.
But you see, the thing is that some of us, they would never put us in positions where we can talk the way we're talking. Because
even with all your experience,
they would not.
No.
They would not. And John, it's not a money thing. It's building the youth to take over and be able to do the good things when they now take over, and not think that it's only money that they are going for.
No.
The 12-point code of discipline of the Young Pioneer Movement: 1, love of country; 2, discipline and obedience; 3, honesty and morality; 4, punctuality; 5, protection of state property; 6. Reliability and secrecy. 7. Comradeship and forbearance. 8. Love of work. 9. Field craft. 10. Unaffectedness. 11. Selflessness. 12. Striving to faultlessness. And we just put up the Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's last cabinet photo on our Facebook page. You should see it. Less than 40 people, just about 40 people. And they did all that transformation.
My dad is the one right behind Nkrumah in glasses.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yes.
Oh. These days we have what? 120-something ministers. We are still
doing nothing.
We are still leaking. The country is leaking.
Well, Johnny, you send on daily basis this code. Some people might pick a few.
All right.
Yeah.
I hear you. Thank you very much. Ambassador Sampiyale is a member of the NDC. He's also Ghana's former ambassador to India, and he's a private legal practitioner. Lawyer Kwame Jantua is a member of the CPP. He's also a private legal practitioner. Thank you, gentlemen, indeed, for your time this morning. And we're happy that you could join us. And we understand that the president has turned up together with the Vice President, Chief of Staff, and all the dignitaries at the Independence celebration happening for the first time since 1957 when we started these things. In fact, before that, the Empire Day and all those celebrations is happening in Koforidua for the very first time. And guess what? It's happening on a football pitch. When we return from this break, I'm sure Albert Tete has a poem for us, and then we will cash out. I want to give you money. *439#, *439#. Choose option 1, which is 3FM 92.7, and then you make your entry, enter your Momo pin. Money should be on your phone in a bit.